So welcome back to the series, guys, with Chris Stratford, our mid-handicap golfer, who we're trying to get down to scratch. No, I might have exaggerated that one. But we're on our our 60-shot challenge, and we're now on chipping, and we're going to be doing a short chip shot. So for this test, we're going to be hitting 6 balls, and we've set up a target with what we describe as a dustbin lid, but we're using 1 club length around the hole to test to see how many short chips you can get inside 1 club length, which I think is what you should be aspiring to do if you're trying to get down single figures.
Okay.
Guys, this is quite interactive. I want you to be doing these tests at home and getting in the comments. You know, these are sort of tests that you can do in 10 minutes at your golf club to test your own game and highlight any weaknesses. So we're going to start off with the short greenside chip. It's for when you can't putt. So if it had been here, I think Chris might have putted, but we've gone into an area that you certainly can't putt anymore. So Chris is going to be chipping. He's going to be just dropping the ball into the into getting a bit of a random lie. So he's not putting them on princess lies.
Princess lies? Oh, that's new on me.
Yeah.
All right. The old thing is goes.
This is a chance for me to make some notes about Chris's technique and stroke.
One thing don't do is decelerate.
Yeah.
Don't decelerate.
Well, it's got there. It counts.
When you say it's got there, do you mean you don't know how the hell it got there?
There's no pictures on a scorecard, is there? As we always say. And if you've got a good technique, generally speaking, when you do hit a bad shot, they'll tend to be, a lot better.
You mean like that one?
So yeah, maybe it weren't your best stroke because maybe your technique were better and you committed to the stroke. It got, it did a job.
Christopher.
Again, so another deacceleration.
Yeah.
And usually a deacceleration comes from when your backstroke's too long, so then you get scared you're going to hit it too far. So, I see this so many times with mid-to-handicappers, from such a short shot, the club's going back here, it's above knee high. If you look at, a scratch golfer playing this shot, the club is visualising it more like a putt, so it might only go back to there. It might be not even as high as, halfway up his legs, so it's back to here and through. So he can commit and accelerate a little bit more. But I think even you, Chris, sometimes you're more up here.
Yeah.
So then you get a bit scared, thinking, well, this is going to go miles. And then you quit on it. Well done. It's done a job.
Oh,
length of stroke were good.
Depends whether you allow that one or not. I'm not very good at giving myself half-decent lies.
Yeah, well...
Never mind princess, this isn't even a Meghan Markle one, this. God dear.
I think you might get a few claps on that one.
Again, Christopher. The revenge of Meghan.
Does that leave us 2 strokes? Or no, 1 I think left. You've got 1 shot left.
No, there are 2.
Have you
brought
got
6
2?
balls.
I think you might have picked 1 up though, the first one.
Did I?
Dropped
right.
it back. So yeah, you just got 1 left. And we're going to give you 2 in there so far.
It's a good job it's my son Craig who's an accountant, chartered accountant, and not me. Again, oh, that's appalling.
So just as a little bit of feedback to me then, was that you deaccelerating, or was it more the lie that's caused you to get the club caught?
I'd like to claim it was the lie on a couple of them wasn't great, but
Yeah.
no, it's me.
So you feel like you've not committed and accelerated through the stroke.
Yeah, it's not focusing as well.
Did you commit to that one more?
Yeah, I did. Pressure's off.
Let's just
There's
have
nothing
a couple
on it.
more, obviously just for the purpose. I mean, obviously you've not, no such thing as failing in these tests. It's just good feedback. But
oh, it's very kind of you, Gary. But that was a fail. That was the only good thing is that my mate Colin, who's a big fan of yours, lives down in Portsmouth. He will be wetting himself, absolutely wetting himself.
It'd be more Michael I'm worried about.
Yeah. Oh, I'd forgotten about him now. Well, not a great result, but
It were a good
at
stroke,
least I
though.
committed.
We're going to move on to long chips. And obviously the goal of these 60 shots is to be able to make Chris's practice more specific. So if we can work on a 30 shot practice, and not work on all the 60 shots, and then redo the test and improve this score, it really will move straight into his on course scoring. What I don't want these tests to be is like unrealistic. I think that's very fair for someone at your ability, and I think with practice, you might even start to get more than sort of 3, 4 and 5 hopefully.
Oh, well, I didn't decelerate.
No. And obviously I'm talked about a long chip, but if you had this shot on the course, is this how you would play it, or would you be flopping it or in a higher shot?
With a lie like that one where it's slightly down, probably would be. I've got an 8 iron here.
Yeah.
But if the lie's not too bad, with a thing like this, I have a 6 hybrid, which is 30 degrees.
Yeah. And
I find that's really good for, you don't have to worry too much about making contact with it. And it gets up quickly and it lands quickly and it rolls out.
Yeah.
The only trouble with that, if anybody wants to try it, is you do get the occasional one that comes out really hot.
Yeah.
Sit down, sit down.
And guys, if you're just tuning in, if you didn't see the first video, I think it's important to say is that Chris didn't know what we were going to be doing today, so you've not had a chance to prepare for any of this, have you?
No, that's very kind of you. Only 50 years.
So if anyone's laughing at home, this is the results I were expecting. I weren't expecting you to nail all these tests because you're not used to practicing in this way. We're all very guilty of just hitting full shots on a driving range.
Go on, hit it and bounce inwards. Oh!
Now, when I said that 3 would be fair, I weren't expecting 0. So you need to pull your finger out of it here.
Oh, VAR should have a look at that one. that could be...
But I mean, 2 club lengths is only what I think is reasonable. Yeah. We should be getting inside that, and you should have a few up and downs.
But an example now with my lazy thinking is that this is the first time, just then, if anybody noticed, I've actually gone behind and had a look to see any sort of line on it. Oh, go on.
Now I'll tell you, obviously what the good players are thinking here.
Yeah.
You Dylan, and I keep referencing these because they're the ones that are on here most of the time. I'm surprised they're not here now. But they'll probably be more aware of how far they're swinging the club back for this distance of shot.
Yeah.
They probably realise that they'll have swing 1 to 6. You probably
I know. Yeah,
you might have seen this on the videos before, and for that distance they'll have zapped it. Oh, it's 30 yards, so it's going to be hip to hip. So it don't require much feel anymore. Whereas I think with yourself, you're having to try and feel what swing to put on it. It's not a given.
No, on that matter, I interviewed Joe Dean, who won the English Amateur the year after Nick Marsh, a player from here, won it, 2015 at Alwoodley. And I was interviewing him afterwards, and I was saying, what has been the strength of your game this week? Because anybody doesn't know the English Amateur, you play 36-hole stroke play, then you go into match play. And I think he won 9 and 7 in the 36-hole final. And I've actually got a video. He almost holed out. Anybody who knows the 11th par 3 at Alwoodley, he almost holed out for an ace to win the match.
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh, it's my wedges." And I said, "Oh, what in particular have you been working on?" And he said, "Well, I have 4 wedges and I have 10 positions for each of those wedges."
Wow.
I mean, it just astounded me that
10.
Anybody could have that much feel for 10 different positions with the club.
Now that is a level I've never.
I know, and it astounded me, and his wedge play was superb, because of course his wedge play generally he's putting it in for birdies rather than because he just hits such a long ball as most of these young guys do. 4 wides.
Yeah, the line was a bit off. Distance weren't too bad. Do you have a laser? Or do you use a watch?
I've got both.
So maybe a little bit long, but we'd be sort of, when we come into the obviously coaching side of things, we're measuring all this and we're writing it down, we're making notes about what each swing length does.
Yeah.
Now, that one surprised me. That one's a 0. Sorry about that, Chris.
Colin, stop it. Just stop it.
We're going to be going on to bunker play now, which obviously for most people is a very difficult part of the game, but we're going to be splitting this into sort of like greenside bunkers, close and long shots. We obviously do some fair bunkers as well, but it's just to sort of, you know, I know you've said bunkers are a weakness, but let's see how much of a weakness they really are. Test on the green, 3 club lengths from the pin, and we're going to be playing a very short bunker shot. What sort of club would you be using, Chris, for a short bunker shot?
This, again, don't give it too much thought. I would go for my 56-degree sand wedge because it's, you know, got a lot of bounce on it. 15 to 18.
It's definitely short, isn't it? So
it is, yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see. I mean,
yeah, probably better.
We've got a goal of
15
trying to get inside 3 club lengths, but I think if you can just get, if you were on the green with all these balls, I think I'd be quite happy.
Yeah. Right.
I'm going to let you crack away and play them shots. I'm just going to be monitoring Chris's sort of strike, whether he catches it clean, heavy or thin, and sort of distance control for the shot. Well out.
Okay.
Just through the green slightly. I really enjoyed the controlling your swing there though. It was quite a nice sort of tempo of swing for that sort of shot. Excellent, well done.
Thank you.
Wow, I'm not going to sort of comment too soon on this, but these tests are very sort of result specific. They're not sort of, you know, what could I say? They're not swing specific. So
right.
Some people might look at, you know, some parts of your game, Chris, and think, well, he's not got a very conventional swing, but I'm more interested in how it works and what it does.
Yeah.
And
well, I was lucky enough to play with Peter Allis many years ago, and we're talking 1979 up at Glen Eagles. Had a round with him, and I was off 10 then. It was one of the occasions when I got down to 10, and I played pretty well that day, I thought. So at the end of the round, as you do, yeah, any advice for me, Peter? And he said, yeah, give the game up. I was like, okay, any particular reason? He said, I've never seen anybody play as well as you have with such a bad swing. But he said, tell me, do you have really good days and really bad days and nothing in between? And I said, yeah, I'm 50 years on, that's probably. And he said, that's because you're relying on, he said, you must have really good hand-eye coordination.
yeah.
Because there is no way you should hit the ball as well as you did today. So his advice was to go to the pro, get lessons, but
Yeah.
it was at a time when I was about to have my first child and, you know, work and everything, and I actually stopped playing for 7 years.
Yeah.
So he was. I listened to Peter Allis. I gave up for 7 years, and everybody's saying, "Why did you come back?" But yeah, I do know that when I see my swing, I hate. I'm not
Well,
going to.
it's quite easy for people at home to jump in and say, oh, you need to do this to your swing, you need to do that to your swing, you know, but you got to remember Chris has played golf a long time, he's played 50 years, and there's a lot of low-hanging fruit we can get without changing his swing too much. And I must say, I knew straight away after the first couple of shots that this were going to be a strength, just through seeing your technique and your swing.
Yeah, but see, you've forgotten. You gave me a lesson on.
Yeah.
Remember we?
Yeah, I do remember.
Dragged you over to the bunker. So, I mean, that's. So the things I remember from it: shuffling the ball further, sort of forward, and then. I was worried about hitting that ball then. Still, it's out.
Sorry.
That's my fault. I put it there.
Yeah, there was them extra balls.
But
Could
yeah,
be a distraction.
The lesson you gave me since that time, distance control's still a problem.
Yeah,
But I do feel that you can hear it in the sound. It's like any golf shot.
yeah,
You know, I love going and watching really good players play, and particularly if you go to any of the major tournaments, just go and stand on the practice ground, close your eyes and listen to the sound.
of the strike.
And since the lesson you have me, I'm definitely, the sound is better.
I can see with your interaction with the ground, you know, if you look where Chris has hit from, he's literally just skimming the sand. He's not digging into it. You know, he's just really taking that top layer of sand nicely. I mean, that is beautiful. Who would have thought that Chris would have been a better short bunker player than he is at chipping, you know, or short chipping or long pitching. Most people would hate this shot.
Yeah.
They would hate it, and you look more comfortable with this than you do hitting a short chip.
There we go.
He's proven he's only human, but he's had 3 there that are definitely up and down chances. And you know, I don't look into that miss it too much, Chris, because we're all human and we can all do that. But I feel like you've got a good understanding of what you're trying to do. You know, I don't look at you in that bunker and think, right, he really needs a lot of help with this. I think if you spent some time practicing, you've got the right technique for that. You know, you've got a good enough swing and a good enough strike out of the bunker.
Thank you. Yeah, well, without this sounding like an advert for you, that is completely different from how I was before that day. How long are we talking about? 3 months or
Probably
so
3
ago?
months ago, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, the idea that you sort of almost, you tipped like that. Whereas before your lesson, I would have been the usual thing, and I would have been
Digging.
hitting more into it.
Yeah.
Whereas I do feel now that I do.
We basically stack weight on the front leg, but then reverse the spine a little bit. That's so it shallowed. It shallowed the initial angle, but you know, obviously we're getting into the sand.
Yeah, it has helped a lot. I mean, I'm not getting down in 2 every time, but
No.
what I'm not doing that I was doing before was the classic thinning it.
Yeah.
You know, and you either bury it into the lip of the bunker, or you're miles over the green and you're shouting for it. You're playing pals. You know, and I was doing that. And I like to think since the lesson you gave me, I haven't had to do that.
So we've set up a little bit of a longer one now. We've had to improvise with a pin a little bit. But again, we've got a 3 club length, you know, sort of hitting area that we're trying to get within. How comfortable do you feel over this? Do you feel a bit more uncomfortable?
Yes, yeah, as I think I mentioned earlier, if I short side myself, I'm not too unhappy in a bunker. Because I feel I can get that sort of distance. This, I find it hard to judge. You know, what do I do differently? Do I hit further behind the ball, closer to the ball?
Yeah.
Do I swing harder, longer?
Yeah.
I don't, like most people, I don't practice it enough.
I mean, I think 2 initial little changes I make, if I'm trying to play a little bit longer shot, I don't open the face so much. Because on a short greenside bunker shot, I wouldn't play it with a square face, I'd open it. If I'm playing this shot, I'd play the club with more of a squarer face.
Okay.
That'd be my first adjustment.
Right.
And then obviously once I'd hit enough balls and I realised how far that were going, if I needed to increase that distance more, then I'd take a little bit longer swing.
Right.
But generally speaking, when I'm playing a greenside bunker shot like this, I try and keep the swing length consistent. So I'm usually sort of just like an L-shaped backswing. Yeah. So arm underneath chest, L-shape, and then through. So I don't usually need to use much more swing than that when I'm playing these greenside bunkers.
And do you vary the distance behind the ball that you look at? Because normally, you know, they say, don't they, 2 inches. You know, try and remove the donuts. I think
the only way,
copyright Sky Sports.
The only time I'd ever sort of try and take a bit more of a cushion of sand is if I were like playing up like a very long green. Yeah. And it was like uphill, and I wanted that ball to chase. I'd try and I would close the face in. I wouldn't try and actually just brush the top of the sand. I'd try to explode the sand into the ball, you know, so it like really blasts it out. But it's don't really hit that shot very much.
No. So that's really interesting though, because I think most amateurs like myself would think that taking more sand, starting the club further back, would actually result in a shorter shot. You don't think about the fact that it will then reduce the spin and roll it out.
It's more about reducing the spin so it rolls more. Yeah. So it might not carry any further, but it's not going to stop on the first bounce. Whereas this shot, if you play as you've just done out of the green side, you know, it will just stop quite quick. Yeah. So I think the first adjustment, if you're unsure how to play this, would be firstly play the same shot as you just did there, but close the face. So keep it, not close it, but keep it square. Yeah. Were you opening the club face in that bunker?
Yes. Yeah, I was trying to lay it.
So maybe the same technique and just with a square face.
Have we got ball spotters? So these are titleists. So I don't want to lose them.
Was the only adjustment there the closed face?
Yes, I felt I swung pretty much the same way.
That's good.
Tried still to have the weight pushed on the left foot.
Not a bad shot. Well done. Not bad.
Is that in or out? Does that count?
Well, I would say that's in 3 club lengths. I think what we can see, you've definitely you found a way to increase the length of the shot. So
yeah, it's purely by what you've said.
You're showing me that you have got some control of distance.
Yeah, I would, had you not said about the closing the club face.
Yeah,
I probably would have been tempted just to swing further, swing harder, swing faster, probably.
Yeah, and for you guys at home watching, you might think, well, why didn't I tell Chris to use a 52 or a stronger club? But that club wouldn't have the same bounce as a 56. So if we can try and stick to a 56 in the bunker where we can, use it, because that club's designed for bunkers.
Yeah, when you look, it's taken pretty shallow.
Yeah.
Divots.
And with a 52, well, you might not get that shallow divot. It might dig in too much because it doesn't bounce so well off the sand like this club.
Roll. Sit down. Sit down.
Excellent.
Sit.
Brilliant. I didn't think out of the 60 shots that the bunker play would be a strength, honestly.
Well, I had a lesson with a guy called Gary Martin. He's pretty good.
And I'm not trying to take any credit from this, because they're not easy shots and you're playing them.
Oh, there we go. Lost ball. Sit down.
We'll get it. I mean, generally speaking, there won't be many holes where you have like that tight a pin. We've just made this pin up a little bit, so you might have gone to the back of a green with that shot.
You can see that there's not. Just go further forward. See how you can see the bottom
there's
that
not
rubber.
Much sand in here, is there?
No, I think something that is not just our club, but the modern day thing has been to put these rubber underlays, and I think a lot of people I talk to say about how you can feel it under there, and it doesn't take much to bounce into it. But that was just a bad shot. Hit the bag.
That's all right. Well done.
Yeah, that was a better shot, I felt, than the previous one.
What I'm quite pleased with is that you've demonstrated the fact that you can change the length of your sand shots, which for a mid-handicap is incredible. There's not many people can do that, I can assure you.
Oh,
you've definitely got some control there to be able to hit shorter and longer bunker shots. We have got now 18 shots left, which we're going to make into a part 3 video, and then that's when the hard work's going to start, when we really get Chris focusing on his weaknesses a lot more, which I think you're already starting to see if you've watched the first 2 videos. But
there's a lot of them.
There's a few, but I'm very surprised on this. Yeah. And it's going quite well so far, because for me personally, it was starting to look like we might have to work on everything. But I feel like we might be able to kind of bypass the bunkers a bit for now, because that's not the low-hanging fruit. I think we've seen some bigger weaknesses in your game that you're well capable of improving, and we're not much help at all. Some I'll be able to really help you with. So, and all this we're going to then see if it really does help when we play golf and we can get this handicap down. Guys, I hope you're enjoying this series. Make sure you keep an eye out for the next video, where we're going to be working on longer pitch shots and lob shots, which could be quite interesting.
Very.
We'll see you in a few days' time, guys. Bye.
Cheers, guys.